Rejecting that reverse RSI line right now. And VWAP, right? Take a look. Bigger picture. Yeah, 4130 is going to be the area to break, I think, for the most part. We'll watch that. No big orders coming in. Again, we have a minimum size set to 50, so we really only see the orders that are... You were in regression, got a short instead of long at open. We're at the same bottom. We're at the bottom. Yeah, that's interesting. So you got into a short down here. Yeah. Polarity's, I mean, I trade polarity. I'm pretty profitable with polarity, but on a lot of days it's really hard to trade. You're able to recover, that's good. That's good. So price and delta is correlated, so I've noticed even if it's choppier, if price and delta is correlated, it seems to be a little safer in trend mode, but it's sometimes too hard to tell, honestly. So we do have absorption up here, right? You can kind of think top of the range here, bottom of the range here, middle of the range, right? We're right around the middle. Just gonna delete this. So maybe a new range forming right here. Okay. Keep an eye out for that. I think the easiest way to play polarity for me is to notice a range in Bookmap. So notice a easy range. And then once we break that range, if we see heavy selling, we arm in trend mode. And then if we, see heavy buying above the range, we arm in trend mode. And that seems to work really well. Just because you're eliminating fully letting the software choose everything for you, right? But also a good way to play polarity is if we are at the bottom of the range, just arm it in regression short, right? So if we're moving down like here, just arm it in regression short. Once we're back to the median, arm just regression both. And if we're up here towards the top of this range, arm regression long. That's going to be the safest way to play it. Obviously regression, you tend to get, better fills, especially if you're doing regression long or regression short. So like top of this range, there's quite a bit of resistance. Like if we take a look, we have fair value gap up here, which is basically lines up with this absorption line. Okay. Then we also have, let's see, what else do we have? Decent passive orders, passive sell orders up here, right? And if you look back over here, there was a big 530 lot sell. It got filled, right? So it's not on the chart anymore, but there was a big seller at 4140. So if we move up in this range, it could be smarter to choose regression long for a pullback short. Unless obviously we move up with like 7,000 positive delta, something crazy like that. But to me, it's easier just to watch Bookmap. Once we see a range form, arm and trend both. Like I'm not fully sure if this is a range yet, right? It could be. Little pink box here. I'll have to kind of see, but definitely looks like 4130 is going to be the area to watch. There is more orders getting added towards 4125. 4120 doesn't seem too relevant, but a lot of buying on the tape. You can see that positive delta too. Pretty big positive delta. So like towards the bottom of this range, regression short might be smarter. Especially with that positive delta coming in and all these buyers on the time and sales. But again, we could just get a quick dump here. Gotta watch. absorption at the bottom of that candle. We do have price delta divergence, right? So price delta divergence here. That's the first one since open that's actually not correlated, so good sign for regression there. And it was pretty strong buying. Point of control is right in the middle of this zone, which is kind of another good, relatively good sign there. But yeah. Definitely kind of looks like this is going to be the range right here. Also, this point of control formed right at this previous absorption. I'm going to extend this because of this absorption, this point of control. But, you know, volume's heavy down here. Past couple candles, right? This candle is pretty heavy down here. So if we do get a break through this absorption, we gotta watch out. Gotta watch out for that quick breakout, is what I'm saying. Again, this is basically what we expected. Not much happening right now, so triple stacked buy order just went through there on polarity. Relatively close to the middle of that range, but we'll see what happens with that trade. Pretty strong buying delta here. Past candle or two. You can see a lot of these bubbles are really tiny. Just means there's really no momentum right now in either direction. Just kind of trading. Yeah, definitely this is the bottom of the range, 41.33. I'm gonna be watching this. Not a lot of huge orders coming through. A lot of mid-sized orders. Do you see we peek through that and a lot of 90 lot buying came in. Gonna extend this down again. You can see when we're moving down though, it's volume's getting pretty thin. So, you know, sellers could be exhausted there. We'll have to see what happens on Bookmap here. You can see there's really only decent sized buying going on, which we can also see from that positive delta. Yeah, it's been definitely a lot more buying here. Did you guys get filled on that triple stacked buy imbalance? Was it on this candle or the previous candle? It was this candle. Kind of breaking out of this range a little bit. Was that a win for you earlier, Blueport? Nice, nice. That was a good trade right here. That triple stacked and balance that happened. I forget. Was it? I don't know. It was like right up here. We got filled. 1.25. And when I'm using polarity lately, I'm doing a 2.5 point stop loss and take profit. Just so you guys know, I haven't been doing 3 point. Reason for that is just a lack of volatility. And it seems like whenever I was using 3 point, it would like bounce right off my stop loss, and then or bounce right off my take profit, and then hit my stop loss. So I just squeezed it in a little bit. Yeah, we're definitely breaking out of this range, but look at this positive delta right here. And you can see sellers are not strong. I mean, look at these bubbles. They're tiny bubbles, right? Nothing big here. Hey, don't be afraid to do a one and done. If you're up on the day, don't be afraid to be done. I mean, it's big news day, so be careful. We broke out of that range. We're gonna have to watch Bookmap here, see if there's some sun coming in. You can see if we zoom in, the bubbles look bigger, but if we zoom out to get some context, they're, since open, we want bubbles like this size, right? These are all pretty small. So big delta divergence on the last two candles as well. We moved down. Both had big positive deltas. Check these areas. So you can see as we're moving down, these areas are getting stacked up with a little bit more buying. Right, so there's a 200 lot bid at 41.28, 200 lot bid at 41.26, about 180 at 41.25. I would say that is definitely kind of the range right there. In this situation, are you in regression or not armed, waiting for big bulls or trend? Up here, I was in regression. Right now, I think with how choppy it is, I think it's better to wait for how I like to trade. It's gonna be better to wait for something to show me on Bookmap that we should be in trend, which might not happen the rest of the day, just because of the news. This FOMC later. And if you guys want to trade FOMC news, I would recommend. Last time I traded FOMC news, you get about one good trend trade right off on the news, and then after that, even though price is still moving very hectically, regressions seem to work better because it's just so choppy. You know, you'll run up 20 points, then you'll drop back a few. So obviously, in my opinion, it's better to just not trade the news, but you definitely can. If you're on some evals, why not? Yeah, I think with these delta divergences, right? So big delta divergences on these two candles. And we're moving down. So what does that mean to me? Either sellers are just heavier or buyers are exhausted. I mean, buyers are still coming in, but they might not be big buy orders, right? So I'd say if you're playing regression, just wait to see another range form. So it looks like it could be forming here if we get like a, let's see, what could we have? Absorption here. See this candle close up. Might be forming a new channel. It's just hard to play this because we are kind of out of a range. where we're almost in trend mode, but the deltas are not showing us that. So it's a little tricky there. Yeah, but if you guys are up on the day, honestly, I'd just call it a day. Take your wins for the day. And nothing special happening. Pretty boring so far, kind of like yesterday. So Blueport, if you are using a different data feed, I'm using Apex's Rhythmic for my evals and my funded accounts. Yeah, but if you have a different data feed besides like Rhythmic or something, then your deltas are probably going to display a little bit different. That's what I noticed, like from watching Connor's old videos or live streams. The deltas would be different. It's because he uses different data feed. So they're both correct. It just they're both correct. Yeah. Yeah, they're both correct. Doesn't matter if you're using a different data feed, they're just going to be off by maybe a little bit. So it's not necessarily one's more accurate than the other, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. There's some selling. There's some selling right there.
Order filled.
Good size right there too. Right? Those are the kind of bubbles we want to see. Okay. Those are the kind of bubbles we want to see. Obviously, buying and stepping in did get a little absorbed there. Pretty heavy on the time and sales too, like 80, 300, 200, 200, 100, 300. Pretty big selling. So see what happens with that. Still have some orders at 41.25. These both got filled at 41.28, 41.26. To break 41.25, should head down to 41.20, and that's really the last thing holding us back for a little while, as you can see, right? So, I feel that trend out at 1.5. Nice stuff, bro. When you say 1.5, are you saying you got out at 1.5 points profit? Little rally back up here. long imbalance. 6-6. Yeah, gotcha. That's what I assumed. Buying definitely coming back in, right? Again, we're in demand. Nice derive zone just formed from that triple stacked. Price delta's definitely recorrelated, right? As of now. So trend mode's probably smarter right now. Unless we start to chop around this derive zone. Just waiting. Definitely trend smart right now. After we saw that big move down with the down candle, negative 400 delta, would have been in trend mode for sure. Pretty big orders coming back in. 41.25, 41.20. Gotta watch out for these here. There's a lot more buying on time and sales besides this dump here, but gotta watch these here. So a little bit of news at 10:05. So 7 minutes. There's a Treasury speaker, orange folder news, which is like moderate. So could cause a little move in the market. Never heard of the person, but could cause a little move. Not a lot going on right now. Really want to see 41.25 get broken for that downward continuation. We'll stay on until the news, see what the news is. Probably about 10 more minutes-ish. Good morning. A bit of selling coming in here. Price delta still correlated on that last candle. Absorption at the top of that candle. Start that out. Move down, get hit right back up with some buying. Yep, mark that absorption out. Volume's also pretty thin up towards the top of that absorption on that bar. So kind of just watch out for that. So if you take a look, right, mark this absorption out. Okay. And then volume's pretty thin here, so that could mean, you know, people are exhausted at that price, basically, which kind of led to that absorption, but a lot of heavy orders at 41.25. See if price wants to come back down to this area. Kind of looks like I'm gonna delete this, so delete that. Kind of looks like maybe that is kind of a new, maybe a new zone right here. Okay. Triple stack sell imbalance there. Price delta is still correlated. And see those bubbles, right? They move down not super fast, but moderate speed, and it's kind of straight down, which you could see that little bit of momentum in the market. But this wasn't anything huge. You can see there's nothing huge on the time and sales here. Just something to keep an eye on. Also absorption at 41.29.5 on that previous candle. Broke through that derived zone. No problem, really. $41.25 seems to be support resistance, psychological number. Yeah, I haven't looked back at the past few months, but there's definitely been a lot happening around this level the past week, 2 weeks it seems. There's been a lot of buying around 41.20, 41.25, right? You can see these orders got filled, right? Because there's not any red lines here on this order book anymore. So these 300 lot, 250 lot orders got filled. So now, obviously, selling's not super strong. As you can see, the time and sales, right? If I took minimum size off, it might look like, you know, it's relatively strong selling, but you got to put the minimum size on so you only see the bigger orders. There's nothing huge. I mean, you can see a lot more buying than selling right now. Want to see fast move down here. See if anything happens. Definitely getting absorbed here, yeah. Absorption on the bottom of this candle at the moment. We're getting real close to breaking this demand, so if we break 41.22 with strong selling, which is this area, I'll title it break. Okay, so we want this to break. If we can break this with strong selling, it's going to be hopefully a bigger move down, okay? Kind of peeked through it. We hit 41.21.75. Just peeked our head through it. Got absorbed right at that 21.75. We also have absorption on the last candle at 41.27. Okay. See what happens here. Watch the time in sales. News, obviously, I forgot it did just come out here a minute ago. Guess it wasn't really that important because I didn't notice. That's just someone speaking, so I guess it's not really a straight news number. So, let's see. Nothing crazy happening right now. 4120's got 500 lots sitting at it. Basically, right? 500 lots. You can see this orange line just popped up, so this could be someone trying to keep the market pushing down. Could be someone like that. You can see these white lines, these faint white lines kind of right here. Trying to point at it at this 267. That's an ICE order, right? Which means it's just a bigger order. So essentially like an institutional order trying to keep the price moving down. Could be stops as well. NQ is very weak. Oh yeah, NQ is definitely more weak than ES, it looks like. You could see on NQ, definitely a range right there, right? Broke out of that range. Heavy selling bubbles, right? Heavy selling bubbles. Good move down, continuation from that. ES is definitely lagging behind. NQ is definitely leading the way down. So ideally for NQ, break 13,600. And then ES might get some continuation down. So NQ is definitely weak for sure. You can see it would have been a good idea to get short right when we broke this rectangle. Right when we see these giant bubbles right here moving down. Could have gotten short right around 13.625 or trend short. Would have been decent from then. See how it reacts to these levels.
Order canceled.
I took a quick scalp on one of my accounts this morning. Obviously I had one regression trade earlier. And I took one other quick scalp basically when we saw, just not with polarity here. Once we saw these, where was it? Once we saw these giant sell orders, right? I took short here. I just got out down here just because of, so there's still a lot we have to break, and there's some absorption you can see on polarity. 4116, 4112 on the 1 hour, demand zone on ES. Take a look, double check ya. That's not the best demand. You're talking about this demand zone right here, so talking about this demand zone, right? So this is your demand zone. That's not like my favorite. That's not really a good demand zone because this sell wick, you want the red candle to be a very small basing candle, so kind of something like this candle, you know, like a similar to a doji. And then the next candle you want to be twice as big as the body at least. So on TradingView you can use this measuring tool. This body's 6 points. This body is 2.25, so that's twice as big, but the sell wick's so big. That means the sellers are still very present there. So if this candle was replaced right here, I'd say yes, that's a good demand zone. Obviously, we could still bounce a little bit here, but it's just not going to be most likely that strong of a demand zone. Yeah, I'll keep it on the chart for you, but most likely it's not going to be that strong. We could bounce a little bit at it, but yeah. So right here is pretty interesting. Can definitely see a range forming. There's absorption at the bottom of this candle. Buyers are stepping in non-delta. Watch for a break above this. Yeah. Got a little range forming. Absorption down here. Absorption up here. Really strong positive delta. So these are kind of what I like to see on Bookmap, these tight little ranges, and then a strong breakout in either direction of them. Look at 4120s acting as a big level now. There's 700 contracts, right? 750 lots sitting. Actually, 800 lots sitting here. So there's big buying here. So it's going to be probably pretty hard to break. So watch that. And there's also 260 at 4120.25. So again, there's a little white line right here. You see that little white line? Nice order. But I'm trend long or trend both. Really depends how strong the buying is, right? Like, obviously we've been trending down all morning, so I would probably arm trend both. Now if we broke down from here and we saw a lot of selling through this level, I would probably just arm trend short. Because we've been moving down all morning, right? So most likely, since this is consolidating at the bottom of the range, if we break down, we'll just move lower for a little bit longer. But if we break out, we might rally up a little bit and then rally back down. So that's kind of what I would think for that. And obviously, trend mode is going to be, you know, you got to pay attention to the deltas. Deltas have been correlated, so since this candle, we've been correlated perfectly. This candle, obviously, right now, price delta divergence, big buying. Again, this is where I got out of my long position down here. So I got short for a scalp up here. I think it was at 2650, so right here. And I scalped it down to 21, right down here. Because I saw that absorption. And I saw on Bookmap, I mean, look at this. There's huge orders here. Huge orders. Almost 1,000 lots at this point. We're moving up, 850. And if you've just been watching the tape with me all morning, I mean, it's definitely been crazy buying. I'm moving this break down here. Let's watch to see if we break out of the zone or if we just keep... There's a little breakout. Nothing crazy right now. You want to see like a really fast shoot up, okay? This little slow movement right now isn't anything special. That's pretty decent right there. You can see it's a vertical. Pretty decent sized bubbles as well. So that's looking decent. And look at that strong delta. So trend both right now would probably be smarter. Obviously, do your own thing, like do whatever you think. Just remember it's choppy. It's FOMC morning. Okay. Like, see, we just rallied up 3 points, and now we're heading back down a little bit. Take a look at what you were thinking here. So let's see. Weekly support resistance. This is too steep of a line right here. whatever you have here. Too steep, in my opinion. Weekly support resistance here. Yeah, this demand zone's not terrible, but it's not great. Just remember that sell wick, right? Sell wick's pretty huge. And try to keep your charts clean too. If this works for you, that's perfectly fine. But remember, I put my charts in the chat every morning, so you know, if you wanted to chart them out, these are the solid demand zones, right? This is what I have. So this is from the other day. You can look at the daily plan channel, see all that. But you can see yeah, clean mind, right? Clean chart, clean mind. Kind of peaked out there. Glad I got out of the position that I was in. Yeah, it's just choppy this morning. I mean, we had a nice little breakout there, but it wasn't super strong. Like if you watch the time and sales, nothing crazy strong. Price delta divergence. Looks like we're kind of forming another range here. So look. Price delta divergence here. There's an imbalance. And let's see. That's pretty strong buying. That's kind of what you want to see. If you zoom out, doesn't look crazy, but zoom back in, that's pretty decent. A lot of buying here. But the thing is, at this point, you're just trying to catch a bottom. So what I mean by that is, ideally, when you're a buyer, you don't want to be the first buyer in the market, right? You're the first buyer, you're taking a lot of risk. Once we see a big clean rally up, then, you know, trend long is going to be a little easier, but you're trying to catch a bottom. Like we've dropped how many points since yesterday? Like basically 100 points we've dropped since yesterday. And you know, if you want to be the first person to buy and bet that we're going to move back up from here, yeah, buy in demand, sell into supply. Obviously there's things to that, so make sure I have that supply and demand course for the members, so go in the supply and demand section. I have a full like 5-hour 32 video course on it, kind of explaining how you can trade supply and demand. You get better context on stuff, but like in my mind, why would you want to, after we sold off from up here, right? The high was 4222. And now we're at 4122, and you're telling me you wanna long this, right? Just because we moved up 3 points. But I think a lot of people forget we moved down 100 points. So just because we move up 3 points doesn't really mean much, you know? If we could break back above like this high, so basically if we could get back above like 4150, then we could get some nice momentum up, but I think I'll call it there for the morning. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Pretty long stream, about 50 minutes. Hopefully you guys got some value out of that. So you guys made profits. I did make a profit loss channel. So if you guys wanted to post your profits in that channel, that'd be cool. Write a little testimonial, whatever. Yeah, watch 4120 today, okay? We can break below 4120 with heavy selling, so watch the delta numbers. We can break below that. Definitely watch for that trend mode, okay? And then be aware FOMC at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then that's really all I got for you this morning. If you got any questions, DM me, put them in the general chat, premium chat, whatever you want. And then yeah, that's all, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Put an alert on 4121, watch a break. Yep, good idea. Big order of 4120, right? So just put a alert there. So it basically lines up with this absorption as well. Okay. So watch this. Yeah, anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. If you guys have questions in the meantime, DM me, put them in the chat. Post your profits in the profit channel. And thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you later.